There are stories that stay with us because they're exciting. Stories that inspire us because heroes overcome impossible odds. And then, there are stories that quietly follow us long after the credits roll. Not because we remember the battles, but because, somewhere along the way, they remember us. Water 7 has been one of those stories for me. At first, it feels like a saga about impossible choices. A ship that can no longer sail. Friends who can no longer understand each other. A woman who no longer believes she's worth saving. A family that begins falling apart. But the more I revisit this story, the more I think Water 7 isn't really about broken ships, or broken friendships, or even broken people. I think it's asking a much deeper question. How do you redeem what's already broken? Not fix, not replace, redeem. Because there's a difference. Some things can be repaired, others can only be loved. And maybe that's where Usopp's story begins. Not with a duel, not with Sogeking, not even with the going merry. It begins with a question I think many of us quietly carry. Do I still belong? There is a unique kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from slowly believing that the people around you would just be fine without you. Maybe you've never said it out loud, but you've felt it. A new coworker arrives and somehow learns everything faster than you. Someone younger is promoted. A friend seems funnier, smarter, kinder, more gifted. A new believer shares a testimony that moves an entire church to tears, while your own story feels painfully ordinary. Without realizing it, we slowly begin measuring our place by our usefulness, until one day we stop asking, "How do I know God?" and begin asking, "What exactly do I bring to the table?" The strange thing is, this isn't only a Christian struggle. It's deeply human. We fear becoming unnecessary, forgettable, replaceable, because somewhere along the way, many of us started believing that our value depends on what we contribute. And if usefulness is what earns our place, then someone more useful can always replace us.
I used to lead a criminal gang. That was until Christ completely changed my life.
God healed my marriage after years of brokenness.
Hi. I obeyed my mom this week, and I only judged 3 people while driving here.
Funny enough, I don't think this feeling is really about testimonies, or ministries, or gifts. I think it's about belonging. Maybe that's why Jesus told the story of 2 sons. Most of us remember the younger brother, the one who left, the one who squandered everything away, the one who finally came home. But before the younger brother ever left, the older brother had already forgotten something. He believed his place in the father's house was something to be earned. All these years, I've been serving you. Listen carefully to those words. He's no longer speaking like a son. He's speaking like an employee. Somewhere along the journey, he stopped enjoying the father's presence and started keeping score. I wonder how many of us quietly do the same thing. We still pray, still serve, still show up, but beneath it all is a question we'd almost never admit out loud. Would I still matter if I had nothing left to offer? Maybe that's why Water 7 begins where it does. Because before Usopp ever leaves the crew, he has already begun believing the same lie. The day usefulness becomes the reason you think you belong is the day you begin fearing you'll become the next going merry. And maybe that's where every prodigal story truly begins. Not with leaving, but with forgetting what it means to be a son. At first glance, Water 7 feels like a disagreement over a ship. The Mary can no longer sail. Usopp wants to save her. Luffy wants to replace her. Simple. At least, that's what I thought for years. But if this story were only about repairing a ship, why does it hurt so much? Why does Usopp challenge Luffy to a duel? Why does Luffy, the man who laughs at almost everything, look so completely heartbroken? Maybe because they were never arguing about the ship. They were arguing about something neither of them knew how to say. The shipwrights delivered the verdict. The Mary cannot be saved. No amount of money, no amount of craftsmanship, no miracle. The journey has simply taken its toll. The strange thing is, everyone hears the same words, but only Usopp hears something else. She can't be fixed anymore. Somehow, those words become, you can't be fixed anymore. You've outlived your usefulness. You've reached the end of what you can offer. Because when your identity is built on usefulness, everything starts sounding personal. The death of Mary becomes the death of your own place. The Going Mary wasn't just a ship. For Usopp, she was proof that ordinary things still mattered. She came from his hometown. She carried his memories. She carried the kindness of Kaya. She carried every impossible dream they chased together. And maybe, without realizing it, Usopp had begun seeing himself in her. Neither of them were the strongest. Neither of them were legendary. Both were doing everything they could with what they had. So, when Luffy says, "We need a new ship," Usopp doesn't hear, "The Mary has reached her limit." He hears, "When someone better comes along, we move on." And if that's true for ships, why wouldn't it be true for him? This has always been one of the hardest scenes for me to watch. Not because Usopp loses. We already know he will. It's because, for one brief moment, he actually wins. He outsmarts Luffy. He uses every trick, every invention, every bit of creativity, everything that has always made Usopp, Usopp. And watching him fight, I realized something. This isn't a duel. It's a resume. Every attack says the same thing. "See, I'm useful. I'm worth keeping. Please don't replace me too." That's why losing hurt so deeply. Not because he lost a fight, because the one thing he believed would secure his place couldn't. For years, I thought this scene was about disagreement. Now, I think it's about grief. Not grief over a ship. Grief over a friend who had started believing a lie. Because here's what breaks my heart. Luffy never once says, "Usopp, prove you're valuable." He never asks him to justify his place. He never measures his worth against anyone else. In fact, Luffy had already answered that question years ago, the day he invited Usopp to join his crew. Not because he was the world's greatest sniper. Not because he had incredible achievements. Simply because he wanted him. Maybe that's why letting go of the Mary feels impossible. Not because letting go is wrong, but because Usopp believes letting go means accepting that love has limits. That once something becomes weak, or broken, or no longer useful, it gets left behind. And isn't that the fear many of us carry? Not that we'll fail, but that one day, someone stronger, someone smarter, someone holier, someone more gifted will quietly take our place. Maybe that's why Jesus once said something that has always fascinated me. No one pours new wine into old wineskins. For a long time, I thought he was simply talking about a new covenant. Now I wonder if he's also describing the human heart. Because sometimes God isn't trying to destroy our identity. He's trying to save us from building it on something that was never meant to carry that weight. Usefulness makes a terrible foundation. Careers end, beauty fades, strength weakens. Even ships eventually reach the end of their voyage. If that's where we built our identity, then every loss feels like the loss of ourselves. Maybe Water 7 isn't asking whether the Mary should be replaced. Maybe it's asking a much more uncomfortable question. What happens when the thing we've mistaken for our identity finally dies? Because only then can we discover whether our place was ever resting on it in the first place.
だったらもう眠らせてやれ。
I used to think King was the moment Usopp finally become brave. Now, I think it's the saddest part of his story. Because King isn't who Usopp becomes, it's who he hides behind. At first, the mask feels empowering. He says the things Usopp never could. He stands where Usopp never would. He burns the world government's flag. He becomes everything Usopp wishes he was. And yet, have you noticed something? No matter how heroic King becomes, Usopp never stops introducing him as someone else. He's my friend. He's from Sniper Island. I'm not King. Because masks do something strange. They let us remain close enough to participate, while remaining too hidden to be known. The more I thought about it, the more I realized this isn't only Usopp's story. It's ours. Some of us wear masks of competence, others wear masks of humor. Some hide behind success, others behind ministry. Some became the person everyone can depend on. Because if we're useful enough, maybe nobody will notice how tired or how distant we really are. The mask changes, the fear doesn't. Because underneath every mask is the same quiet question. If you really knew me, would you still want me? I don't think most believers drift away because they suddenly stop believing in God. Sometimes that happens. But I think more often they simply become exhausted. Exhausted from trying to be the version of themselves they think God wants. Still attending church, still serving, still smiling, still worshiping, yet quietly wondering, does anyone know how far away I actually feel? The tragedy isn't that they stop showing up, it's that somewhere along the way, they stop coming as themselves. That's why Jesus' parable has always fascinated me. We call it the story of the prodigal son, but there are two sons. One leaves the father, the other never does. One wastes everything in reckless living. The other spends everything trying to earn what had always been his. All these years, I've been serving you. Listen to those words again. He's not speaking like a son. He's speaking like an employee. He stayed, he obeyed, he worked. And somehow, he ended up just as distant from his father as the brother who ran away. Maybe that's why I think Usopp becomes both sons. At Water 7, he begins as the older brother, quietly believing that his place depends on what he contributes. Then after the duel, he becomes the younger brother, separated, ashamed, unable to imagine that home could still want him. Different journeys, the same misunderstanding. The beautiful thing about Jesus' parable is that the father walks toward both. He runs to the younger brother. He walks out to the older brother. One needed forgiveness, the other needed freedom. But both needed the same thing, to remember they were sons. Maybe that's why the father never responds to the older brother's resume. He doesn't say, "You've worked so hard." He simply says, "My son, you are always with me. everything I have has always been yours. It's almost as if he's asking, when did you stop believing this? I think this is where the mask finally starts to crack. Not because Usopp suddenly becomes brave, but because he realized something even more terrifying. He can keep pretending and lose the relationship, or he can risk being seen. Maybe that's the invitation Christ has been extending all along. Not become someone worth loving, but come as yourself. Not because yourself is perfect, but because masks can never receive love. Only people can. And perhaps that's why the greatest step of faith isn't becoming fearless. It's believing that when the mask finally comes off, the invitation will still be there. There comes a moment in every prodigal story where the hardest step isn't the journey home. It's believing home still wants you. Maybe that's why Usopp doesn't run after the Sunny immediately. He minimizes what he's done. He hesitates. He watches from a distance. Not because he doesn't miss the crew, because he does. Not because he isn't sorry, because he is. The real battle isn't guilt anymore, it's unbelief. After everything I've said, after everything I've done, surely they don't want me anymore. Maybe you've been there, not only with people, with God. You know you've wondered. You know you've become distant. You know you've worn the mask for so long that you're not even sure who you are underneath it anymore. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispers, you've gone too far this time. You've disappointed him one too many times. The invitation was for the person he used to be. But then, One Piece does something extraordinary. Nobody argues about whether Usopp should come back. Nobody takes a vote. Nobody asks if he's earned another chance. They simply wait. It's almost as if the decision has already been made. The only thing missing was Usopp. I think that's why Jesus tells the story the way he does. The Father isn't busy deciding whether to forgive or not. The feast is already prepared. The robe is already waiting. The ring already belongs to the Son. The Father isn't reluctant. He's watching the horizon, waiting. Not because he isn't sure he'll receive his Son, but because he can't wait to. Maybe that's what grace has always looked like. Not God slowly becoming willing to love us again, but God patiently waiting for us to believe His love never left. Then, it happens. Not a speech, not an excuse, not an explanation, no blame, no negotiation, no resume. Just come. I'm sorry. For the first time since Water 7, there's no Soggy King, no performance, no argument, no need to prove anything. Just Usopp. This has always been one of my favorite scenes in One Piece. Luffy wants to shout back immediately. You can see it on his face. Because, for the first time, Usopp is coming home as himself. Not because he has finally become worthy, but because he finally stopped trying to be. And then, without hesitation, Luffy reaches. No lecture, no punishment, no probation period, just welcome home. Because the captain was never waiting for a better sniper. He was waiting for his friend. Maybe that's why I don't think Water 7 is ultimately about broken ships, or broken friendships, or even broken people. I think it's about a love that refuses to abandon what's broken. Robin believed she wasn't worth saving. Usopp believed he wasn't worth keeping. Soon, we'll meet a man who believes the things he's built have made him unforgivable. Different wounds, the same captain. Maybe you've spent your whole life trying to become someone God could use, trying to become someone worth keeping, trying to become someone worth loving. Maybe you've been the younger brother. Maybe you've been the older brother. Maybe, like Usopp, you've been both. And maybe that's why this story still moves us. Because beneath all the swords, the ships, pirates, and the adventure, it's telling the story every heart longs to hear. Not become someone I'll finally accept, but you were always wanted. For a long time, I thought Water 7 was about learning how to let go. Now, I think it's about discovering what love never lets go of. And maybe that's the gospel too. Not that we finally found our way back to God, but that all along, the captain's eyes had never left the horizon, waiting, hoping, longing for the day you would finally come home.
No anxious rhythm in their voices, no fear hidden in their wings. And you said not one falls unnoticed, not one disappears from sight. The same God clothing fields with wildflowers